Hello, I am Geert Audenaert, CTO of whitesky, and I'm here to give you a demonstration about our newly added Managed Kubernetes feature. Now, before we go there, let me illustrate you what we have as well. We have our IaaS component, it's called Cloud Spaces. We have Object Spaces, which is our term for S3 storage. And now, of course, we added Container Spaces. All of these workloads are offered through a public cloud model, but you can also get them as in a private cloud model where we just manage your private cloud and you use your own private cloud location to deploy your workloads. That said, let's go. Now, before we create a Kubernetes environment, because we use Rancher, of course, we need a space where this will be created. So let's go and look here. There's no cloud spaces right now in my account. So I will create one. I choose here the site in Belgium. I choose a connection to the internet, the built-in virtual firewall. I give it a name, for example, Rancher Webcast. Create cloud space. This takes about, on average, 10 to 15 seconds, and then we can just continue, go to container spaces, and deploy that Rancher management cluster. Why Rancher? Well, we believe that Rancher is a great platform, and rather than creating something from scratch again, we integrated Rancher, and we provide you like the most easy to use Rancher environment that you'll ever have seen. Let's go. I give it a cloud space. I give it a name, excuse me. I call it demo Rancher. I choose the cloud space I just created. That is the public IP that was assigned. Automatically, the system suggests me a domain on which this will be hosted. You can also kind of add your own domain, but I'm kind of lazy, so I just take the suggested domain. Yes, I want to use Let's Encrypt, and there we go. So now the platform will start deploying that Rancher management cluster. To do that, it will configure the ingress on the cloud space by creating load balancers and server pools, then deploy a virtual machine, add that machine to the server pool. When the machine is properly prepared to run the RKE cluster, it will then install RKE and then sequentially as well Rancher in the RKE. The whole process takes some time, so I will just go silent a bit, and we will fast forward this process while I do some work in the meantime. See you later. All right. Seems that in the meantime, the Rancher management cluster has been deployed. So let's see what we have now. To connect to the Rancher console, probably the first thing that you would want to do, you can just click the link here in the Rancher management cluster, the tail page, and yeah, it asks me to log in. The good thing is you can just log in with your cloud credentials, with which you also are authenticated in the whitesky cloud portal. Okay, two-factor authentication, of course. authorize. All right, there we go. And as you can see, you have a fully working rancher management cluster. It got a nice certificate from Let's Encrypt. The DNS domain was automatically created on the platform, etc., etc. But this is the rancher management cluster. Let's also have a look at what it actually deployed in the cloud space. We see here one virtual machine running with 12 gigs of memory and 6 virtual CPUs, about 55 gigabytes of storage. The ingress, we see here a server pool. Inside the server pool, there is one host. I'm pretty sure that that is the IP address of our of our rancher management server. It created a load balancer, one for port 80, one for port 443, and one for port 6443. So the two first ones, that's for HTTP and HTTPS, and the third one is to expose the Kubernetes cluster in which the rancher is running. Now, how can you access that? Going back to our rancher management cluster, it's very easy. You just go to kubeconfig, you copy paste it, and you use it in your favorite Kubernetes client, whether that is kubectl or Kubernetes or Lens. That doesn't matter, works perfectly. Right, let's have another look at what is deployed. Let's have a look at the virtual machine itself. You see it has two disks, and the boot disk of type boot for the operating system and any sort of applications. It also has an extra disk of type data. This disk is being mounted in /var because data disks offer better performance than boot disks. All right, going back, then the last thing that it deployed was a DNS record for the public IP address of the cloud space, so that we can easily connect to our rancher management cluster over a domain and in a very secure way, protected by Let's Encrypt. All right, well, you could kind of deploy resources in this rancher management cluster. That's not really the goal. And the goal is that you create Kubernetes clusters via your rancher management cluster to actually deploy your resources. So let's see how that works. When you go to the rancher management detail page, you can just in the top check for create Kubernetes cluster. First, it asks to define the master node pools. Why multiple? Well, if you want to deploy a geo-redundant Kubernetes cluster, you can easily do that by creating 3 master node pools and deploy 1 node in every master node pool, and as such you get a geo-redundant Kubernetes cluster. For the demo, we're not going to go there. You just select one, and we also select a one node pool. Let's keep it as simple as possible, okay? And then, of course, let's give it a name. Okay? My first rancher. Let's go. Oh, my first Kubernetes cluster. Hopla. So now the system uses the rancher to deploy a Kubernetes cluster, and we use the same cloud space. There can also be another cloud space, but then you really have to make sure that you connected that cloud space to the cloud space of the rancher management cluster. So that means that the Kubernetes cluster that you deploy, or the Kubernetes clusters that you deploy via your rancher management cluster, they don't have to be in the same cloud location. They can be in different cloud locations. The only thing that you need to kind of make sure is that they are connected via connected cloud spaces to your rancher management cluster. The platform offers me to go and watch the provisioning, so let's do that. As you can see, it opens the cluster management page for the new Kubernetes cluster that we're deploying right now. And what is actually happening now is that the node driver that was automatically installed in the rancher management cluster is currently talking to the whitesky API to deploy more virtual machines in which it will then install a Kubernetes cluster. Also, this unfortunately takes a bit of time, so I'm zooming out again, and we continue as soon as the Kubernetes cluster has been deployed. All right. I have the impression that in the meantime, our rancher is up and running, and it is active. All right. So this means that we can now start deploying applications, right? Now, before we go there, let's see what we can find in the whitesky port. So we see here the master and the worker pool. We see here that we can just increase the size of the pool automatically. Later on, you will be able to kind of make these pools auto scalable as well. Let's have a look at the cloud space, see what we can find there. And here we can see that it deployed two virtual machines. One is running the master role, the other one is running as a worker. Beyond that, it also deployed a server pool because it deployed an ingress controller automatically for the worker nodes. So if I'm not mistaken, and we go to the load balancer, you can see here that it deployed a load balancer for port 80 and for port 443, and it should have the IP of our worker nodes. Yes, indeed, it has the IP of the worker node. All right. What else can we do with our freshly deployed Kubernetes cluster? We can take the kubeconfig and go to work with our favorite Kubernetes client. Of course, we can also use the rancher user interface, which is really intuitive to start deploying applications. And for the sake of this this demo, we're going to deploy a WordPress server using Helm. So let's go. I go here to charts. You see that all sorts of charts already have been deployed. WordPress, there it is. Install. And I have to click next. And now, of course, I need to fine-tune here these values. Now, I have prepared myself a bit, and let me show you what I have changed to the YAML. Yeah. Of course, this is because I was preparing this demo last week, and in the meantime, they have added a new release. Then here you see that I added here a reference to the issuer that should be used when deploying the ingress, because I'm asking to automatically via the cert manager that has been deployed automatically via the whitesky automation to generate a new SSL certificate via Let's Encrypt. Of course, these values may not be the same as the ones that I prepared in my that I prepared before. So let's have a look, so that we are very sure. You see, this is the issuer for the cert manager, and it's workers BE pool ingress cert issuer. Workers BE pool ingress cert issuer. I used the same name, so that's good. Of course, we're going to use the ingress to make the WordPress available. If you don't use the ingress, that's possible as well, but then you need to use a service of type load balancer, and when you deploy the Helm chart, then the platform will automatically create load balancers and configure the ingress in your cloud space to make this WordPress available. But using an ingress is a better way. Of course, the website also needs a host name. So let's go back to our cloud space and add a host name. I'm going in here in the DNS section, adding a DNS record. My easy WordPress. And of course, I need to select the IP address that was added for creating the load balancer. So actually, I need to go back, first inspect the ingress. So this is the server pool. Let's have a look here at these ingress load balancers. They're using IP address 120. So let's create a DNS record there. Add DNS records. IP address 120. My new WordPress site. All right. Submit. DNS record created. Let's copy this. Of course, I need to edit the YAML to hold the correct DNS record, otherwise my demo will fail. Let's have a look again. Ingress class name. So let's see what the name of the ingress. Workers BE pool. Yeah, I used the same name, so it generated the same ingress controller, and I think we're good. Let's deploy this WordPress site. So what is going to happen now is that for the WordPress, it needs a Maria database. The Maria database needs a persistent volume. So the installing this Helm chart, as you can see, begins with creating persistent volumes. Now, what happened while the Kubernetes cluster was installed through the Rancher? Automatically, the CSI driver for the whitesky cloud was installed into the Kubernetes cluster. And now persistent volume claims are being created. And that means that the CSI driver that's running inside the Kubernetes cluster talks to the whitesky APIs, creates disks, attaches the disks to the correct virtual machine where the pod will be added, and don't have to do anything. Waiting always takes a long time. Of course, now to install the WordPress, those images need to be downloaded. So that is actually what we are waiting for here, because you can see here that creating the disk actually didn't take all that much time. I think 20 seconds. All right, and our application has been installed. So let's have a look if it works. Copy, paste, and it works. We have a new WordPress site. It was deployed with a working SSL certificate via Let's Encrypt on a domain name generated by the DNS platform inside whitesky. So let's have a look what happened here. In the storage, two persistent volumes were created, one for the WordPress server, another one for the MariaDB. Now, let's see if we can find these disks as well inside our IaaS platform. So normally they should be attached to a worker machine. The fact that we only have one would mean that they're both running on this worker machine. And here we see those persistent volumes. Those persistent volumes that match persistent volumes here inside the Rancher platform. So this is it. This is the demo for our Managed Kubernetes. And I hope that you go to work with it. Register your account on portal.whitesky.cloud. Register your customer account here. Give us a buzz and we'll give you access to play around with our Kubernetes, with our managed Kubernetes. And the only thing that we would like from you is to get feedback on what we should kind of improve, so that we can make the best managed Kubernetes platform out there. Thank you very much. Bye bye.